Like I said, if you're a writer and you haven't subscribed, what you doing? Because regardless, it's a vibe over here. And that, my friends, is how I make my matcha at home. Oh, hey, welcome back to the Life of Nasa. If you're new here, I'm Nasa, and over here on my channel we get into all things that have to do with my life. So that's writing content, lifestyle content, a little bit of faith content. To be honest, anything that I have going on in life, I'm probably sharing it here. I'm really working on building or curating this concept of the unaesthetic aesthetic, where I am creating a life for myself that allows me to be creative, allows me to express myself without the worries and pressures of the outside world, and the worries and pressures of creating something aesthetically pleasing or fitting into this aesthetic or that aesthetic, and really just being in my own lane and being me wholeheartedly, and not letting those pressures stop me from doing that. So if you're interested in doing just that, subscribe to my channel, because that's all that we do over here, period. But as you can tell by the title of today's video, y'all can see I'm really excited, because I think these writing vlogs just give me like a boost of energy. Let me actually set y'all up somewhere so that I'm not just holding the camera. Okay, so boom, we're doing a writing vlog, and I feel like it's been a while. It has to have been like, how many weeks has it been? It has been, it's been a month since I've done a writing vlog. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And there are a few reasons to that. So let's get into it. The first, I feel like I have been working on things on the back end. When I started posting writing vlogs on this channel and posting like writer videos, the idea was to be able to hold myself and hold other writers or just other creatives who needed the accountability accountable. Part of that is holding other people accountable and being of assistance to other people and being a resource for other people. And then the second part is holding myself accountable, right? So let's get into the first part. I think the major theme that encompasses my life is just being of assistance to people, and that kind of flowed into my YouTube channel and my writing videos and, you know, any tips that I put out. The idea is for someone to be able to look at my channel and get inspiration, get advice that they need, walk away with a resource, walk away with something that they hadn't considered. And then of course in the comments, a community of folks who are sharing their resources and what they've amassed as well. Also, my mic is about to die, so if the sound is different, apologies. But yeah, the point is obviously for my channel to be like a writer's resource guide in some way, right? You kind of get everything that you need, but I can only post but so many videos that don't run an hour long and have accompanying materials that one may need to further their writing journey, right? So on the back end, I'm thinking about like, how can I take this assistance that I give people further to where, like, instead of responding to comments or DMs, they now have, someone has access to me. And so that's what I've been thinking about, and just different ways that I can be of assistance, different ways that I can lend myself to people in a way that will further their writing journey or further what they have going on. And the way that I've been doing that is over on my website, theunaestheticaesthetic.com. I created the website to kind of merge both of my worlds. There's lifestyle blogging, which kind of runs in tandem with my lifestyle vlogs. A space where if I disappear from YouTube for a while, it's because either, you know, the creative juices are flowing elsewhere, or it's a bit more time consuming. So I'm able to sit down and blog about something before I can record it, edit it, post it, make sure it looks, well, record it, make sure it looks the way that I like for it to look. If it doesn't, then I have to record it again, and then edit it in a way that I like, and then post it, you know? So that's what's going on the unaesthetic aesthetic lifestyle page of my website. And then I have my writer services that I offer, like mentorship, content review, like just free consultations, ebooks, kind of like building a resource library, your creative toolkit of some sorts over there. And that is just to ensure that like I'm doing what I really want to do, which is be of assistance, which is help people, which is come out on the other side of this whole writer's journey with people, right? So that's what I've been working on. And then I took a look at like, okay, but the second part of this whole accountability piece was to hold yourself accountable. When I'm posting my writing vlogs, I'm writing. So that's holding myself accountable. And I know that maybe I didn't stick to my schedule throughout the week, but I have Sunday, which is going to be a dedicated writing day. However, yeah, I've been just kind of focused on the first piece of that and not really pouring into myself. So that is what we're doing today. We are pouring into my writing journey. I'm excited. I have been doing some writing off camera and I've realized a few things that I'm going to create a video about. But I've talked about this before, how I edit my videos or how I edit my books as I go, as opposed to finishing a draft, coming back and editing. And shout out to like the community of writers that I'm building and those who interact and kind of share their processes, because obviously there's not really a right or wrong way to do a lot of creative processes, but it's just reaffirming to know that like there's really not a right or a wrong way to writing. It's just like what works for you. What do you identify in the process that is a pro and a con for you? And while I do think that editing as I go works for me, I think beneath the surface there, I have honestly been using it as what's the word that I'm looking for? I've been using it as an excuse to not finish my book. I'm getting a little nervous, like putting my thoughts to the paper about things and putting it out there for a different group to see and kind of getting their results or getting their thoughts / reviews. And that's me thinking forward. Maybe my book won't even get to who I'm thinking, or maybe like my book just won't even do good. Like you know what I'm saying though? I'm like thinking ahead and planning and expecting bad, and that's making me not right. So I'm able to identify that while editing as you go can work for some, and it does typically work for me, it's really just an excuse to not release my book, to not finish it. And I want to get over that. However, I am deep in the middle of editing. I actually changed the entire beginning of my book based on my last video, how to kind of craft like a fire opening hook. That's not the title, but that's basically what the content is. How to craft a really good opening hook. My opening hook just previously wasn't it. Granted, that was obviously my first draft, so I have the opportunity to make the changes, and I'm glad that I made the changes. So now I'm just like going through and restructuring, moving chapters around, things like that. There are also some things that I want to change in terms of, I want to change the city. I want to kind of talk a little, and I'll talk about that in this vlog today, because while I'm editing, I might as well do it. I want to change the city name. I'm in a very realistic city right now, actually using the city by name, and I want to change that. So I'll talk about that. And then I'm also creating, I also have created a character arc worksheet, which is basically going to be something that I can look at and that you all can look at, because I of course will share it, that will allow you to kind of stay on track with who your character is and what their point is. It's like, it's easy to just kind of have an idea about someone or have a small characteristic about someone, and once you start writing from that and then lose the plot about the character. And so the character arc worksheet ideally would be something that you kind of start with, but again, I am already in it, so I'm going to kind of take a pause for a second and work on that, and we'll work on that together. I don't really know how much writing we're going to get done, but this is going to be a good one. And also, there's a girl who wanted to know how I make my matcha. Sis, this next part is for you, because I'm about to make me a matcha. My first one of the day. I'm about to make that right now. So let's get right into all of this creative business. my friends, is how I make my matcha at home. I don't really have no measurements. I just kind of do. I should take measurements because it tastes different all the time, but I'll tweak it. Like if I need it to be sweeter, I'll add some vanilla. But yeah, that's how I make my matcha. So now that I have my matcha, I feel like my brain just cut on. Oh my gosh, my brain just turned on. So now it's time to get some work done. First things first, I want to share about the character arc worksheet that I was talking about. The character arc worksheet is, like I said, a worksheet that will allow you to kind of map where your character will be from start to finish in your book. So I think it could go in alignment with like maybe a chapter outline template, which again, I think these are definitely key pieces to use to start. I just so happen to kind of feel like I need this at this moment. I will link it in the description box. So I just want to talk you through it, and then I'll link it in the description bar so that you guys can have it. So you would start with your character information. So who's your character? What's their role? Like, are they the protagonist, antagonist? Are they kind of a sidekick to one of the two? What's the goal of their story? Like, what do they want out of this? And then their internal needs, like what do they really need? The reason that I kind of start there is obviously because they are the basics and they are the things that make up your character in the form of your writing. I think also one thing that I noticed here with like antagonists, I was kind of thinking about who would be the antagonist in my story, and I do have a very quick idea of an antagonist, but I think in the end, the antagonist in my story is one of my main characters' mind. I think their mind plays a lot of tricks on them and deceives them in a number of ways that makes them think maybe they're not good enough. Maybe they're undeserving of good. I think an antagonist isn't, in my eyes, going to always be a person that we deal with throughout the entire book. I think an antagonist can be something like someone's mind, because your mind can truly antagonize you. Like your mind can really make you believe you're not good enough, you shouldn't post this, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't reach out to this person, you shouldn't talk to God. Like your mind can really antagonize you. So yeah, I don't think that any of my characters are really an antagonist. The second section, who are they at the start? So like what are their flaws at the beginning in, let's say, like the first half of your book or before the climax? What do they believe in? And not necessarily religiously, but more so what do they believe in, maybe about themselves, about your other main character? How has their backstory influenced them? How do they see themselves / the world? And like what are relationships that they're in? And not solely romantic relationships, but are we exploring a relationship that they have with their father? Are we exploring a relationship that they have with a best friend? Are we exploring a relationship that they have with a boss? What are those relationships and those key dynamics that we see at the start of your book? Moving into section 3, which is more so like the transformation of your main character. What's the catalyst that pushes them to change who they are? What are the challenges that test them during this period? What are their revelations? What do they realize as they come out of or go through this transformation? And then what are their key scenes of growth? And I suggest in the worksheet that you list 2 to 3, just so that you can kind of remember where your character is going. And then we end it all here kind of with who are they at the end of the book. So what has changed? What changed about their beliefs, their goals that they had? What's changed? Did they heal the wounds that they had that were kind of influencing their backstory? Were their flaws overcome, the ones that we previously mentioned, or did they accept them? What does their relationship look like now? How do they see themselves / the world? I think that this is going to be helpful to me, at least specifically for my female main character, but also my male main. I think when you have a main character and they have like a lot going on, it's easy to write them because like they have a lot going on. And then you have the other portion, especially like relationship or romance vibes, like you have that one who's very cool, calm, collected, and just like there for you, etc. And then you have the other one who's just like, I don't know about us, I don't know about this. Like how do you make sure that you're effectively writing that cool, calm, and collected person? Because the other person has so much going on, it's easy to write them. So I think that this will come into play for my more cool, calm, collected main, helping me just keep on track and maybe just give him more of a story versus my story revolving primarily around my, you know, my other main character. So let's get into some writing. Like I said, I'm kind of restructuring. So the plus here is that I have I have the chapters that I am restructuring. I'm just kind of moving them around. Yeah, I'm just kind of moving them around. So like I'm not getting rid of them per se, but just kind of moving them out of the way. Guys, shout out to Reedsy, okay? Because I talk about how like difficult I have difficulties. I have difficulties like outlining, and I knew that I made an outline, but I just didn't know where it was. I'm like, bro, I know that I put it in Reedsy. Where did it go? So I went to my trash, and it's in Reedsy. Because I'm so close to the end of the book, but I'm just like, bro, this isn't going the way that I wanted it to go. But this, like, I'm like, I know I had a plan for this. I know I started loosely. We up. Okay, period. This is so exciting. Love Reedsy. Shout out to Reedsy. Obviously, they have no reason to connect with me to sponsor this video, but for planning and outlining, I genuinely love Reedsy. This is so fire. Okay, we know where we're going. This is a little bit different than you know, I think I deleted it because it was a little bit different than where I was going. But yeah, this is perfect. Okay, I wanted to talk a little bit about naming your characters and naming your cities. So naming cities is new to me. It is in my previous book. I kind of was just very much, well, when I wrote the book, I was in love with Chicago. Still in love with Chicago, but when I wrote the book, I was like, yeah, I want my character to be from Chicago. So my characters are from Chicago. I've referenced Chicago. I talk about, do I talk about places to, do I like talk about Chicago landmarks in that one? I don't think so. And then in this one, I'm using another, I'll just be honest, I'm using Chicago again, okay? But I don't want to. I want to build like my own kind of world. I want to, when you're reading this, I want to take away from, like, subconsciously, I feel like one could hear a city that is in the US or a state that's in the US and kind of go there, go to what's happening there, go to what it looks like, go to what it sounds like, etc. And I don't want that. I want to build my own kind of universe, build my own world. So here's how I'm going about naming a city. And comment down below, you know, if you have named your own city in your book and kind of created your own world, and how you've done that for people that are kind of looking for ways to do that. I always think it's pretty fun, because also I think in the romance world, at least, I know I have some fantasy writers, and I think that's probably a big genre where this happens too. I know I have some fantasy writers that are subscribed to my channel. So if you are a fantasy writer and you're not subscribed, first of all, subscribe. If you're a writer and you're not subscribed, subscribe. Anyway, if you do write fantasy and you have kind of undertaking the idea of creating your own cities in your own world, I would love to hear how you do that. But also in terms of romance, I like it because, like, there are some romance novels that I read where, like, it's maybe a family of brothers, right? And they are like the brothers of this city. And it could easily be like a real city, but I just like it better when it's kind of made up. So obviously I'm starting with the vibe. Like, what is the vibe of my city? What is the vibe of the place that I'm creating? So I know I am writing about a big city. I talk about the high rises that have gone up in the downtown area. I talk about how easy it is to walk in the downtown area. I talk about, you know, hopping on the train. I mentioned how one of my main characters lives in the suburbs where the other one lives kind of downtown. So a lot of the story, a chunk of the story takes place in the downtown area, but there are references to the suburbs. So this is not a small town. It's not, you know, and also there's not too much detail that is given. So I'm not thinking about it too hard, but I just know that it's not a small town. It's very much city vibes. It's not like a romantic getaway, and it's not like some historic place that's kind of made up. It's just very much city. It's very much a city vibe. And I think it's a romance novel, yes. So I could kind of lean into like that romantic getaway piece, but I kind of want to stay on the realm of city vibe, big city. Like, it's so interesting when you also then start to think about like how cities are actually named. Like Atlanta was supposed to be named Terminus, and that, you know, depending on what your vibe is, you can kind of start to think about meaningful words. Like if I wanted to use a romance getaway type of thing, I would start to play around with like romancy words, like, or words that kind of, when you think about this word, you think about romance or you think about love, like something hard, or maybe looking at words in a different language, like looking at love in Spanish, looking at like what beautiful means in a different language, and kind of playing into that. So I think depending on what your vibe is, you can use meaningful words to your vibe. If it's a historic place, if it's kind of a fantasy driven book, like you can kind of use those words and those roots to kind of hone in on a name for your city. I think with that, once you can consider the setting, like, are we in the country? Is it a big city? You can start meshing words together and even adding specific suffix like Huntington. Huntington Beach is real though, right? Yep, it's in California. But anyway, Huntington, Bellevue, Belleville, Haven, like New Haven, that's Connecticut. You get what I'm saying? Those suffixes that we see in bigger cities, if you're kind of putting a word to it, Bellhaven, Luna View, things like that, to kind of make a play on the word. So not necessarily the word the city of Amor, but like Amorville or something like that. Just kind of playing on the setting, the meaning, and any suffixes that you can add to the word. So that's kind of where I'm at. I think I have one. I'm not gonna share it just yet. You'll have to read to get it, but I think I have one. And then in terms of naming your characters, I take naming my characters very seriously. And it's not always through the same way. So like my first main character, if y'all steal this name, I'm gonna fight you. And if I find out somebody got a kid with this name, oh, I'm gonna fight you. No, I'm kidding. But the name of my first female main character in my first book is Sailor Moon. I love that name. I love that name. Sailor Moon, it sounds very ethereal. It sounds dreamy. It sounds like something you've never heard before. And that's exactly who my girl is. She's very ethereal. She's very much like captivating. She's breathtaking. She's like no one you've ever met before. Selah and Selah. Selah is like peace, meditation, or what one would call like a spiritual pause. And when I think of Sailor Moon, she's a breath of fresh air. Like she is the embodiment of peace. Like she doesn't take things too seriously. Well, she does, but she's very much aware of her energy and her presence and what she brings to a space. And it's typically primarily peace. And so that was one thing. And then I feel like with the moon part, like when we think about the moon and just what it does, it just shines in the night. Like it provides a light to people. At least that's what I was kind of thinking about. It provides a light in the dark, and that is again who Selah is. So I kind of paired those two. This book, I have Dallas and Carter, and I just really like the name Dallas. I feel like it's a bit of that. It's a masculine leading name. It's gender neutral, but it's strong. Like it has a strong energy to it. I could be overcomplicating this, but it's kind of like a bold name. I feel like if like you meet a woman named Dallas, and we really do embody our names. I'll be honest. Like I really think that we do. So my female main is that. She's the embodiment of that. She's very strong-willed. She's very strong, kind of stubborn, very much just I can do it on my own. Like I got this. And I feel like she kind of leads with masculine energy. So that's where I got that name from. With Carter, I like the name Carter. I feel like Carter is someone with the name Carter. His is spelled with a K for a reason, but someone with the name Carter just kind of embodies an individual that is welcoming, bro, this probably sounds so crazy, like how you just kind of make these things up. That could be any name, but Carter just feels like someone who's welcoming, someone who's just open, and that's very much my main character. And then I did Carter with a K because he's different. I don't know, Carter with a C is just very much Carter with a C, but Carter with a K is different, but he still holds like that just healing energy almost. I don't know. That's how I kind of got there. So I think if you start to play on names, and if you want it to have like a deeper meaning, then you can kind of like look into the meaning of names and what those names mean and how they connect or how they fit with your character. And you know, if you're just kind of pulling names out of a hat, like I think the beauty and creativity and the beauty about differences and the beauty about everyone being their own individual person is that you may name your person Billy Bob. You may name your main character Billy Bob, but Billy Bob got these characteristics that maybe are different than what you would consider a typical Billy Bob to look like or a typical Billy Bob to be. And so it's then on you, like you can kind of build whoever you want in that name and kind of root them in that name. So that's kind of the beauty about the creativity of it all. Even with naming your city, like it's yours, so you can kind of give it a rustic vibe or a romancy vibe, or you can kind of set the tone for what the reader expects from that whole setting and the world that you build. You can kind of cement it in a reader's mind as opposed to having it connected to a city that's already, you know, real, and one that's already built and one that a reader already knows all about. So that's how I kind of thought about it, and that's why I now want to go a different route and make my city something else. But if you are, you know, a fantasy writer, a romance writer, a historian, sci-fi, you know, whatever, and you're naming your own city, let us know down below how you're doing that, because I'm curious. I just would love to know what goes into it, because I've kind of gotten my own idea, but would love to know, like, if that's what you've been doing, how have you been doing that? What are your tips and tricks for people? But I think I am just going to continue getting my writing in and probably make some dinner. So I am going to end the little writing vlog here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and were able to, you know, take something from it. Don't forget to click into my description box to download the character arc worksheet that I've created. Super simple and definitely a reusable document for you that I would personally kind of keep in my computer or keep on my side when I am kind of introducing new characters or starting to write something new, so that I have an idea of where I'm going with this character. I think maybe after I finish my book, I could share like a lot of what my resources look like, because I don't want to give any spoilers right now, but that actually could be something fun to do. So I think maybe I will do that. Like I said, if you're a writer and you haven't subscribed, what you doing? Because regardless, it's a vibe over here. I hope you guys enjoyed this writing vlog. I personally obviously always enjoy these writing vlogs. If you have any other videos that you'd like to see from me, or any other tips and tricks that I can provide to you guys, feel free to comment them down below. Don't forget to check out my website and like this video, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.